taking some of your requests from last week and recording as many as I can. I did pick Amanda McCain asked for me to outline Joshua 15. And when I looked at it, it will be simple for me to outline because it's very list oriented. But it's very intense, girls. So this may take a while, but I think you're gonna enjoy having a perspective of what do we do with these chapters that are boring. Okay, so chapter 15 of Joshua is what I'm going to be outlining today, and it is called Allotment for Judah. So Joshua, if you know anything about Joshua, this is the book that happened right after Moses' death. So Moses dies, he sees the promised land, but he can't enter into it, and God appoints Joshua as their new leader. And so when they get to the promised land, they are divvying out who gets what. So the 12 tribes of Israel are based off of the sons of Jacob, who was renamed Israel from Jacob and Esau. So he had the sons that were Benjamin and Joseph, the coat of many colors, Dan, Judah was one of the names. There's 12 sons. So those are the 12 tribes that they are dividing right now. And so there's a section of the tribe of Judah, and this is how they're going to organize it. So when we start in verse 15, the allotment for the tribe of Judah is what I'm going to highlight because that's the main section of what we're reading. The chapter before was allotment for Caleb. So that was for a different son. But these men, Caleb and Judah, are not currently alive. Their generation has already died out. These are the ancestors of those men. So when they say allotment for Caleb, they don't mean the son of Jacob. This is your land that you get. It's his ancestors. So there's thousands and thousands and thousands of people that make up the person they're talking about, Caleb. It's Caleb's tribe. So just like this one is Judah's tribe. And then when you go forward, you'll see chapter 16 is allotment for Ephraim and Manasseh. And so those are actually, there is no tribe of Joseph, you might notice, but there is a tribe for Joseph's sons, and those are Ephraim and Manasseh, because Joseph was the favorite son. He got, his grandkids got 2 allotments. So yeah, this is sandwiched in between just the list of divvying out land. Okay, so let's go ahead and read. According to its clans, extended down to the territory of Edom, to the desert of Zin in the extreme south. So this is very location heavy, and then it's going to get into names. So right now I'm just going to be highlighting these places so I can organize them. So it says these are in the extreme south. So before I start writing the list, I'm just going to walk through it. Their southern border boundary started from the bay at the southern end of the Dead Sea, crossed south of Scorpion Pass, continued on to Zin, and went over to the south of Kadesh Barnea. Then it ran past Hezron, up to Adar, and curved around to Karka. So you don't have to know what these places are or even where they are in relation to each other. You're just noting that this list is in the south and territory of Edom, and that goes to Judah. So later, when you start seeing this study, if the word Edom comes up again and you realize where it is on a map, then you're like, oh yeah, all of Judah's places were there. So it's not necessarily about memorizing a map. It's just that repetition of noting these places and where they are repeated throughout the Bible, because they are going to live in this territory for a very long time. So you'll see these repeated in the future, and then you might remember, okay, the tribe of Judah was there, and they had given that to them in Joshua, the book of Joshua. It passed along to Asmon and joined the Wadi of Egypt, ending at the Mediterranean Sea. This is their southern boundary. So before I write it, I want to show you what the next part is, and then we can organize it all. The eastern boundary is the Dead Sea as far as the mouth of the Jordan. The northern boundary, let me zoom in for you. Started from the bay of the sea of the mouth of Jordan. So it's the bay instead of the Dead Sea. Went up to, or it's the bay of the Dead Sea, okay. Went up to Beth Hoglah. Don't you love listening to me butcher all these words? And continued north of Beth Araba to the stone of Bohan, son of Reuben. So we don't need to highlight that, but you're going to know that the land is also allotted to the son Reuben, and that's later. The boundary then went up to Debir from the valley of Anchor and turned north to Gilgal, which faces the pass. I feel like this is a land before time, when Littlefoot was like given directions from his mom of where to find the great, what's it called? I'm dating myself. What is that called? Anyways, I'm getting distracted. It continued along to the waters of En Shemesh and came out at En Rogel. Then it ran up the valley of Ben Hinnom. I hope you guys are paying attention. Along the southern slope of the Jebusite city, that is Jerusalem. I'm going to highlight both of those because we're familiar with the city of Jerusalem, but not that it's nicknamed the Jebusite city. From there, it climbed to the top of the hill west of the Hinnom Valley at the north end of the valley of Rephaim. Oh my goodness. From the hilltop, the boundary headed toward the spring of the waters of Nephtoah, came out at the towns of Mount Ephron, and went down toward Bala, that is Kiriath Jearim. And then it curved westward from Bala to Mount Seir, ran along the northern slope of Mount Jearim, that is Kesalon, continued down to Beth Shemesh and crossed to Timnah. It went to the northern slope of Ekron, turned toward the Shikharon, passed along to Mount Bala, and reached Jabneel. The boundary ended at the Seal. The western boundary is the coastline of the Mediterranean Sea. And then it goes into what people will go into those boundaries from that tribe. I am tired. That was a mouthful. All right, girls. Let's try to do our best to organize this jumbled list. Okay, this is where I get happy because it's like, that was boring to me and this is fun. All right, so we're looking at Judah here. I'm gonna need some space for Judah because that was a lot going on. Okay, and so they've got the southern boundary. They've got north, south, east, and west. So I'm going to have to write small. But basically, I'm just going to put little bullets. And start writing. So the south is where we start. Okay, I'm going to check these off because there's a lot. Extended down to the territory of Edom, to the desert Zin and the extreme south. So it's saying this extends from Edom to desert Zin. Oh, that might just be the south. Okay, well, that's all right. The southern border started at the bay of the southern end of the Dead Sea. So I'm just going to list stuff out. This is all the south. Dead Sea. Scorpion Pass. You might be like, why are we writing this? Who cares? But continues on to Zin, and they said that's the desert of Zin. Went over Kadesh Barnea. Need to get this where you guys can see what I'm doing. Hezron. Up to Adar. and Karka, Asman, Wadi of Egypt. I don't even know what that means. So sometimes I like to look up these words and share them with you because some weird stuff in here. All right, it ends at the Mediterranean Sea. Okay, if it's water, I'm going to do that. The Dead Sea is water. The desert, I'm going to draw a little cactus. I don't know what the rest are, so they don't get a little label. All right, that was intense. So on the other side, which this is annoying because now I've got to flip back and forth, but I can handle it. All right, the eastern boundary is the Dead Sea as far as the mouth of the Jordan. So I'm going to write eastern boundary, and that's it. The eastern boundary is really short. Dead Sea as far as the mouth of the Jordan is what it says. Dead Sea as far, why did that A look like that? As, now it looks like the Dad Sea. Oh, I messed it up, and it's in pen, girls. Mouth of the Jordan. All right, that's more water. And then it moves on to the north. The northern boundary started from the Bay of the Sea at the mouth of the Jordan, went up to Beth Hogla and Beth Araba. Let's see if I can memorize that spelling. I did it. What else we got? The Stone of Bohan, Debar, and the Debir Valley of Anchor. So Stone of Bohan. Debir Valley of Anchor. How do you spell that? Acor. There's no N. Man, this is why you use pencil. Gilgal, the pass of Adumim. I'm going to butcher this one. Adum. Okay. I see you. En Shemesh and En Rogel. I'm just literally going through my highlights. Sorry, this video is wonky. I'm literally just going through the highlights and I'm listing the things. Now, there may be a problem because this entire paragraph right here is the northern boundary, and look how many places I have highlighted. So if you want to just be like, Amy, we get the gist and fast forward, that's totally fine. But I'm a nerd and I'm going to sit and write all these. So here we go. Okay, I got them. And this is why you know why my timelines are a little bit more organized. You get to see the behind the scenes mess that my brain spits out when I get all the information. So I, in my head, thought we were going to have a nice little list of 5 for each of those. It's going to be so pretty. And it happens that there's 1 sentence for the East and like 12 for the North. So if yours doesn't turn out very pretty, you're the only one seeing this. Well, for me, unfortunately, you get to see my mess. But this is real Bible study. This is not your mama's Bible journaling where we're drawing a giant verse all over the picture and making it look like a work of art. That's great, but that's not what this is. So give yourself grace of the point of this is not to make it look all put together and pretty. The point of this is to actually read these passages that you never cared to read before. You didn't understand why you needed to read them before. Right now, you still might not understand why you're reading them. But when you are understanding the Bible more and more and more, you'll be able to make better connections. I mean, this section is just, this is a reminder of the tribe of Judah that God had promised Abraham's ancestors were born through his son that he thought he'd never had, Isaac. And Isaac has two sons, Jacob and Esau, and Jacob is renamed Israel, and his 12 sons are blessed to be the nations, the tribes of Israel that we see all throughout the rest of the Testament. And this right here, we call Jesus the Lion of Judah. And so we hear, and then you've also got the kingdom split. It becomes the kingdom of Israel and for the northern kingdom, and the southern kingdom is named Judah. So just here in like 30 seconds, I can give you like 10 connections to the name of Judah in other places in the Bible. So when you start to understand and make these connections, it makes this so much more rich. And then I'm also looking here at the allotment for Caleb is super small. The allotment for Judah is really dense. I mean, we haven't even finished chapter 15. Thanks a lot, Amanda. Just kidding. So if we haven't even finished chapter 15, because the rest of it is even more about the people who are going to live there and their ancestors and how many towns and how many villages. Like, this was obviously a very big tribe. It was a very important tribe, enough that they literally split and they picked, well, it's been called Israel. What are we going to call the other kingdom? They called it Judah. So something special about this tribe, that it gets a huge allotment, plus it gets named for it uses the name for the southern kingdom, which makes me think, I don't really know, I can't recall which of the brothers was Judah. So I might go back and look in the book of Genesis when they're talking about Joseph and the coat of many colors, and figure out, what did Judah do every time he had a role? Was he one of the ones that stepped in? I don't know that he was. I think Reuben was that person who stepped in and was like, hey, let's not kill him, let's sell him, or take my brother or take me instead of my brother, when they were revealed at the end. So anyways, this is just a side note of, this always is really insightful for me, to the point that I learn more, yet I have more questions at the same time. So I hope that this kind of method is making sense to you, and you see the practicality of it, not just I'm turning this into a history lesson. No, it is a history lesson, but there's great meaning behind everything we're doing. We're trying to understand more of who God is and understand how to relate to these people in the Bible, so that we can have passion for learning and studying and knowing who God is. So let's move on to the western boundary. Literally says the coastline of the Mediterranean Sea. So I'm going to add that here, which is going to mess up all my cute bullet points I wrote. Coastline, just right over those, of the Mediterranean Sea. You'll never know they were there. All right, so I don't have any doodles over here except these. So I'm going to do this little doodle here. The desert. I'm going to do another little cactus. We got a lot of mountains here. Yeah, lots of valleys. And then the tribe of Judah. I don't know. What's a symbol for that? I'm going to draw like a sword and shield. You know, if you think of something cooler, go for it. But I'm gonna write a big J for the tribe of Judah. Okay, are you still with me? We want to keep going? All right, 15. These are the boundaries around the people of Judah by their clans. I am not going to write every word, because literally this whole thing is a list. I'm just going to kind of label these instead of listing them out like I did the tribe of Judah. So it says, these are the boundaries. I'm actually going to switch colors. Oh, I'm such a rebel. Let's do a different color, because we were talking about the land, what do you call that? Designation? The land assignments. Judah's land assignments. Okay, and then here we're going to do the boundaries around the people of Judah by their clans. In accordance with the Lord's command to him, Joshua gave to Caleb, son of Jephunneh, a portion in Judah. Okay. So that's interesting. Joshua gave to Caleb a portion of Judah. So remember how I said Caleb just got like a little bit here? Joshua is actually letting Caleb have part of Judah's land. So maybe it's not that they're sharing it. It's just like you get this little section, but that is yours. So interesting. And Hebron. So Caleb gets Hebron, which is a famous city in Judah. In Judah. You're going to see that city come up again. Arba was the forefather of Anak. From Hebron, Caleb drove out the 3 Anakites, the sons of Anak. Okay. So he drove out Anakites. From there he marched against the people living in Debir. And Caleb said, I will give my daughter Achsah in marriage to the man who acts and captures Kiriath Sepher. Othniel, son of Kenaz, Caleb's brother, took it, so Caleb gave his daughter to Achsah to him in marriage. Okay. Is this really what I think it is? I will give my daughter Achsah. So we have Caleb. You gotta love these. Has a daughter, Achsah. And he says, whoever captures this other group living in Debir is going to get my daughter to marry. And it says, Othniel, son of Kenaz, Caleb's brother. Okay, so Othniel, work with me here. Othniel is Caleb's brother, or Kenaz is Caleb's brother? I'm thinking this is a cousin marriage, not an uncle-niece marriage, which was what I thought it was at first. I think that's what happened. One day she came to Othniel. She urged him to ask her father for a field. Okay, so now she is with Othniel. Othniel, son of Kenaz, Caleb's brother. Okay. So Othniel, son of Kenaz. Othniel, I was saying that wrong. Son of Kenaz, who is Caleb's brother. Okay. That's not related to the Anakites. I can't talk. So just so you know, that's not really supposed to go there. That's just kind of like a ... They had parents. So these are brothers. And then these two get married. They're cousins. Okay. One day when she came to Othniel, that's saying Achsah, she urged him to ask her father for a field. When she got off her donkey, Caleb asked her, what can I do for you? She replied, do me a special favor, which I'm going to highlight those names because I might forget. Achsah, Kenaz, Othniel, Caleb. Since you have given me land in the Negev, also give me springs of water. So Caleb gave her the upper and lower springs. This is the inheritance of the tribe of Judah according to its clans. Okay. So this is Caleb's allotment. Right here. Caleb gets an allotment, and then down here is saying this is Judah's allotment. The southernmost towns of the tribe of Judah and the Negev toward the boundary of Edom were, and then I'm not going to read all these. So a total of 29 towns and their villages in the southernmost boundary. And the western foothills has all these 14 towns and their villages, and also this and this. So I'm just totaling it. Ekron with its surrounding settlements and villages. West of Ekron, all that were in the city of Ashdod, together with their villages. So they must have had a lot, because it's not even getting a number. Surrounding settlements and villages. Gaza, its settlements and villages, far the wadi of Egypt and the coastline of Mediterranean. In the hill country, so this is south, west, and the hills. This is in the wild, in the wilderness. 2 towns and their villages, 6 towns, 10 towns, 9 towns, 11 towns. So we've got, I'm going to add these up, 20, 30, 38. The hills had 38 towns and villages. In the west, they had 14, 16, so that's 30, 39 plus, we don't know how many. And then the south was 29. And the wilderness, it doesn't say. 6 towns and their villages, sorry. Could not dislodge to this day. The Jebusites live with the people of Judah. So what are Jebusites? So it sounds like they have only 6 there plus the Jebusites. Which, didn't they mention that back here? That is the Jerusalem? Where was it? Jebusite city, that is Jerusalem. See, we're making connections. Right here in verse, or 15, verse 8 says Jebusite city, that is Jerusalem. So Jebusites are people who live in Jerusalem. And I'm thinking that's what it's saying, but I might be wrong. So you might even look that up in literally a dictionary. Jebusites, what are Jebusites? And make sure that you've gotten that right. So let's draw some pictures before we go. Hills in the wilderness. Got my little trees. The west and the south don't have much room, so I'm not going to draw over there. All right, so that is a lot. It doesn't mean I understand it all. It just means that I've outlined it, and so that when I do further study and it says reference Joshua 15, if you ever go through studies like that and you've got a footnote, and then you go there and it's like, oh, I don't even have to read this because I've already outlined it. And now it makes sense because I know what I'm looking for. So I hope that is inspiring to you. I hope you followed along with that. Yeah, and thanks for your patience with my goofy self. I will see you live next Friday. This one was pre-recorded, obviously, but thank you, Amanda, for submitting your chapter and verse that you're studying. And I will pick somebody else's next week. And yeah, I'll say and one more time. Have a great weekend.